I am well into my adult years, and the impact of those early years academically, they still weigh on me. I have children now, and I even think how, I thank God for resilience, because some of those early days and the challenges that I went through, both in my home and academically, my kids will never have to deal with those things. And that's why I am passionate about the work that I do, so that no kid across America should have to deal with some of the things that I dealt with. But growing up, I not only struggled in school, but I came from an unstable family home environment. We were oftentimes homeless, and the definition, going couch surfing and living in hotel rooms. We were not well off. Living in Jacksonville, Florida on the east side, it's a community that's ridden with poverty and high crime. We often didn't have lights, we didn't have water on, and that spilled over into the classroom. I looked different from everyone. I acted different from everyone. And then academically, I struggled. I come from a family of high school dropouts, and education was not something that was valued. The Merriweather name followed me into the classroom, and teachers would sigh. This is kindergarten, first, second, third grade. Teachers would sigh visibly. Here goes another Merriweather. We got to deal with another one in our class this year. That made me really despondent. Talk about feelings. I did not feel very motivated or enthused about going into this, into this place, knowing that I looked different than students, and I was not reading or performing academically. One of my first earliest memories of school, it was me asking to go to the restroom. I was raising my hand. I need to go. And the teacher said, no, you need to sit down. You don't listen to me, so why should I listen to you? And I walked out. I walked up and got, left out of class. And she said, you need to leave. Go to the principal's office. No, this was about second grade. Yelling, screaming. No, she picks me up and starts to drag me out of class. I'm holding on to the walls, holding on to the floor, trying to grab anything to keep from getting kicked out of class. And I remember that. I remember just like, I actually wanted to learn. I actually wanted to be there. But I didn't know how to. This is second grade. And so I'm now in a place where I'm looking at my children. I'm like, wow, developmentally, their kids, the brain is not developed, and kids throwing tantrums and all this stuff. You don't blame the kid, you know all these skills and stuff of dealing with children. And what if someone dealt with me like a child in those early years and helped me? And I had the opportunity so I failed the third grade twice, couldn't read, taking my state assessments, couldn't read a licking, and masking it, fighting in school, was not a very good student when it comes to being disruptive and all this stuff. And that's what happened in those early years, and it felt bad. It felt like there was no hope. It felt like
your story is so unfortunately typical, and there's so much that comes from your story that's informative. I've had a lot of shows where we talk with teachers and talk with parents and talk with students, and there are a couple of realities. One is that if a teacher doesn't make sure that each and every child feels valued and worthy and worth being there in the classroom, then they're not going to do well. And the other reality, though, is sometimes it takes just one positive influence to turn things around. Thanks for listening to What I Want to Know. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, so you can explore other episodes and dive into our discussions on the future of education. And write a review of the show. I also encourage you to join the conversation and let me know what you want to know using hashtag WIWTK on social media. That's hashtag WIWTK. For more information on Stride and online education, visit stridelearning.com. I'm your host, Kevin P. Chavous. Thank you for joining What I Want to Know.